Hey guys, welcome to the RAMZPAUL show. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I saw someone in the chat before the show said they wear orange. And yeah, that reminded me, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she lived to be 97, but she always wore orange on St. Patrick's Day because, uh, yeah, Magnus Opus said, today I get to wear orange instead of green. That's what my grandmother did because she supported the British, not the Irish. She was more from like Northern Ireland, her ancestry. So, but that's all forgotten. That's all forgotten now. Now the Irish, they fought for 100 years to resist English rule. Now they're being replaced by Africans. This is so crazy. It's like, what the hell happened? And as Tucker Carlson said, why do they have to be enriched with Africans, right? They because the whole excuse is, oh, you made colonies, so you got to take us. That's why you have to be destroyed. I think that's bullshit anyway. We elevated these savage nations, but at least that's an excuse. But Ireland, they never had colonies, but because there is a design so that there's no more white homelands anywhere. They don't want any white homelands. That's Nazism, racist, fascist, all of that. That Nazi. They just keep repeating their slogans, but this is what they mean. Everything they do on the left now is just anti-white, and we'll talk about that. Z-Man, who, by the way, is my co-host on Wednesday nights. He wrote a great article about that, the Democratic Party and the trouble it's in, because they're just a negative identity now. They used to be about like the working man, unions, safe working conditions, maybe healthcare, the environment. Now they're about, you need to cut off your little boy's dick because he's trapped in the wrong body. And this is all they're about. Or, some bearded guy with a dress, you better call me ma'am. That's their whole, it's just crazy, and eliminating white people. That's it. It's a real negative identity they have. They're just very bitter, angry people. Yeah, it's just crazy. So we'll get into that. Thank you for watching the show. We do this every Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, we do this at 11 a.m. Central. We typically go an hour. I will go longer if I get more super chats or rants. Please send them in. The more I get, the longer I will go. It really helps me. If you like the show, it's like you're going to a cafe, you chip in $5 to get like a cup of coffee. I'd appreciate it. There's super chats on YouTube. Rumble has rants, and Powerchat, the link here, you can send your updates there too. Questions or comments. And Stream Elements has a tip feature. So busy week this week, Monday through Thursday, we have the RAMZPAUL show. Tuesday night, I have my Substack. My Substack's growing, and if you're not part of my Substack, I really highly recommend that you join it. Every Friday, I create a video just for my Substack subscribers, and every Tuesday, so tomorrow night, we have our roundtable. And so give it a try, sign up, and I will appreciate that. I'll have the link here. So this other night, someone was asking me, how can I sign up? So I used to be on Gumroad. I moved to Substack, not because I got in trouble on Gumroad or anything. It's just, it's not a reliable platform. Substack is a huge platform. Everyone's on it. So follow me on there. I appreciate it. And even if you don't subscribe to me on the pay, which I recommend because it helps me and you get additional content. But Monday through Thursday, I usually create articles or videos that I will put for everyone. So there's no reason not to follow me on there. And as always, follow me on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. I'm trying to grow my X. It's really slow. I've been stuck at 158,000 for a while. I guess I'm at the 158,000.1 now. So that's something. All right. That's kind of the preliminaries. Well, on Wednesday, I have my show with Z-Man. It's a great show, getting a lot of good feedback on that. And this week we decided to do it on space, JFK, the space race, Elon Musk, Mars project, NASA, the state of NASA. It's going to be a great show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to watch, and that is Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow night is our roundtable for our Substack subscribers. And a lot of stuff happening. Last night, Sasha and I had Night Owls. You guys can check that out. It's up on YouTube and Rumble and X. We had a really good time on that. So it's going to be a busy week. And then the following week, I'm just giving you guys notice, Sasha and I this week will have been married for 1 year. God, I can't believe it's been that long already. Who thought it'll last that long? But it looks like it's lasted at least a year. So hopefully many more. Next week, we're going out. It's kind of like our spring break type thing. We're going to be out for a week. So next week, I'm not going to have any content. I know, but I'll be back the following week. And so we're looking forward to kind of getting away for a week. And also, we're kind of celebrating. She is about 100%, getting close. By the end of this month, she'll be 100% moved into the mountain home here in the hills. And she'll be out of her apartment. So we've been moving all her stuff. She's got a lot of stuff. So we're getting close. We're getting close on that. And so that's kind of the schedule coming up. A lot of stuff happening there. And I should put this out because some people write us, and I thanked them last night. If you want to write us in person, I do have a P.O. box in Fayetteville, and this is a great way to do it. I do appreciate it. Hey, I already got a rant from Jenna B6. Have you heard about the episode of the black sportsmanship in Virginia? A black girl running in a relay race conked another black girl on the head as she was passing her. I saw that. She was running, that girl was passing her. She hit her twice. She went boom, boom, and the girl got a concussion. So she cried about it. Oh, I'm a victim. It was an accident. I don't think it was premeditated. I just think she acted on instinct. You know, she got pissed off because she was getting beat. A lot of these people, that they have a high time preference. They really don't think in the future very much. It's kind of like a lot of animals. They don't really think in the future. And I think that's, so I don't think she had this planned out. She just got mad and she just attacked her. And now she's playing the victim. I don't think it was an accident. You don't accidentally hit someone with a baton twice. Like everything, they try to make it racial. And I think a lot of people now have black fatigue. We're getting kind of tired of this behavior really all over the world. And we see it all the time. And people are getting tired of it. So, yeah, I did see that. Thank you for your generous rant. I do appreciate it. And yeah, today is St. Patrick's Day. So let me just see here. All right, this is working now. My StreamYards, it wasn't working right, but I'm on the Chrome browser and it works a little bit better here. So here's Conor McGregor. He was at the White House in celebration of St. Patrick's Day. Let's listen to him.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. Our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed. And the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
Yeah, Ireland is being destroyed. And this is all Western countries. It's really sad what is happening. We have a right to a homeland. White people have a right. We have a right to our homelands, just like other people have a right. And if you don't think so, if you call it racist, sexist, Nazism, well, fuck you. I don't care. We have that right. We don't care about your morality. You think it's fine for other countries. We have that same right. And I don't want to see Ireland overrun with Africans. They're not Irish. They can never be Irish. They're different people. The people are the people related by blood, not just because you plop in the country. It's ridiculous. In Ireland, I hope they get a good government and deport all the people. I don't care if they're legal or illegal. They need to go. All of Europe needs to do that. And the United States, they need to get the hell out. They do not belong in our countries. Full stop. And we're not apologizing anymore about it. And we're seeing this more and more, and good for him to speak out about this. This is a real travesty, what is happening in Ireland. So while we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and again, I have a little bit of Irish in me. I'm mostly Scottish and English. So And as I said, my grandmother used to always wear orange. She wasn't fond of the Irish, although my grandfather was part Irish. So, yeah, I do feel bad for the Irish people. They're basically facing a genocide. When you move people out of their homelands, trying to interbreed with them, get rid of their people, that's what's happening. This is a plan by Soros and a lot of people. They said that the enemy they say is whiteness, and whiteness they mean white people. This is all the Democrat Party. That's all they stand for, is eliminating white people, our spaces, our homelands. And this is what's happening worldwide. And people are starting to resist, high profile people. And JD Vance talked about this. He's the vice president of the United States. And I think this is really key, that this message is getting out. And what used to be, I felt, a voice in the wilderness like Jared Taylor and other people, now it's becoming more mainstream. Here's JD Vance.
If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't matter what I think about Europe. Germany will have killed itself. And I hope they don't do that, because I love Germany and I want Germany to thrive.
Right. Well, a lot of this, so it's not so much the German people ever had a vote like, hey, or the Irish people. Did the Irish people or Americans, did we ever have the vote? Hey, no, we don't like our country is in the 50s and 60s, 90% white Christian. No, we don't want that. We want a bunch of Somalis pulling into our small towns, a bunch of Muslims. This is what we need. I don't think, was that ever put to a vote? I never voted on it. In fact, in California, they voted in the 80s to stop that, Proposition 187, but some criminal judge struck it down. We'll get to that too. We need to start ignoring these judges. They have no power. They're corrupt. But no one voted on this in Ireland or Germany. So it's not like the German people wanted to eliminate themselves or the Irish people. And I get it. A lot of these people, they've been brainwashed since they've been kid about, the Holocaust and all of that stuff. And they've been beaten down. But they need to recover their pride, and that they have a right to a homeland. They should be proud of their culture, and just reject all this blood libel against them. This is what they need to do. And JD Vance is saying the same thing to Europe. You guys can't survive. You're not going to survive if you just import all these people into your country that aren't compatible. Why are you worried about Russia? It's really crazy. Russia is no threat to the average European. The Russians are not going to invade France or England or any of those countries. They're not. You can say, oh, Ukraine. Yeah, but there was this historical thing, Donbass, this heavily ethnic Russian people. They voted to be part of Russia. So it's not like they're just going into France, right? It's nonsense. It's just stupid propaganda. And by the way, even if the Russians should take over France, which they aren't, they would not have a policy of trying to replace the French people. They didn't. Even Nazi Germany, when they took over France, they were like, oh, okay, now we got to eliminate all the French people. No, there wasn't any of that. This is the modern, where they're just trying to really, I don't know other word than genocide the people there. And so it's ridiculous. So it's like a distraction. Starmer, Macron, they are destroying their countries by importing Muslims and Africans. And if you object to it, you go to jail. Literally, you go to jail. However, they want you to direct your anger to Russia, the scary bear. Putin's going to conquer the world. And it's, first of all, no, he isn't. It's ridiculous. But they like to have that monster. And part of the reason they're really rejecting peace, France and Britain especially, they don't want peace at all. They like to have that monster in Putin, sort of like the left likes to have a Trump, because that's their devil. Because the left here in the United States doesn't stand for any positive message. It's just anti-white. It's just bitterness, resentment, hatred. And they like to use symbols. Oh, Trump, they get all excited and start quivering. And that's how they are in Europe with Putin. Oh, Putin. Well, it's not Putin flooding Ireland with Africans. It's not Putin doing that. He's not flooding France with Africans. He's not doing that. He's not doing that to Germany. That's your own governments that are doing it. And so we have to understand that. JD Vance is 100% right. They're trying to destroy this country. So I would say on this St. Patrick's Day, it's kind of a somber day. While it's great to celebrate your ancestry for Irish, and I love the Emerald Isle. I wish Ireland would always remain Irish. but the forces there are trying to destroy the Irish people and the homeland, their homeland. And again, it's ironic because Irish people fought so hard against the English, which aren't that dissimilar from them, right? I mean, they had maybe a type of Christianity, Catholic versus Protestant somewhat, but they're pretty close versus a totally alien people coming in. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. But this is what is happening there. All right. So happy St. Patty's Day. And again, thank you, Jenna B6, for your rant. That was a great rant. And let me see, do I have that up? Did I close my power chats? Let me sorry guys, I accidentally closed my power chats here. So let me bring that back up here. I get all these tabs up and I sometimes accidentally close them. So let me just bring this up. All right. All right. Yeah. So I got my power chats up. So if you want to send in a power chat, I will definitely get it. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick Ukraine update. It won't be long today. Some people don't, it's a big story, but some people, I get it, aren't into that whole war thing. Sasha's in that category. She's like, I'm sick of Ukraine. And guys, I think we get into the whole war aspect. I've always loved like war games and strategy games. But I think for women, it's kind of boring, that whole thing. But it's still, from a political point of view, interesting. So, because it defines a lot of Europe now. And we spent like $350 billion on this nonsense. So I got a couple of stories here. It looks like Putin or Trump are going to speak tomorrow. So today's Monday, so that should be Tuesday. I think that should be good. I think Putin and Trump, they tend to get along pretty well together. Unlike Zelensky, whenever Zelensky speaks, it's a disaster because Zelensky's just a liar. He changes what he says every 10 minutes. So hopefully they'll get a good understanding. So I think after tomorrow, we're going to get some news, and hopefully it's good news. Maybe they'll have some sort of an agreement, and if the Ukrainians, and Britain and France doesn't go along with it, fine, then they can fight their own damn war. We're out of it. I hope that's the message. I don't want us to get suckered into the war like LBJ got suckered into Vietnam, and that wasn't a good message. And his advisor of Walls was talking a little bit about this. So this is my last update of Ukraine for the show today.
But so Russia could be given the Donbass in addition to hanging on to Crimea, even though they invaded Ukraine.
This lady, she's putting this in a moral statement like, oh, bad guys versus good guys. The Russians are the bad guys. The Ukrainians are the good guys. And she's saying, so how she's trying to do this. So you're going to allow them to get the Donbass and Crimea, even though they're the bad guys. Well, okay. First of all, who the bad guys are is a lot more complicated than this silly blonde is making it. She doesn't understand these questions. Obviously, the Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union. In Eastern Ukraine, and how the country was divided up, that was somewhat arbitrary. And Eastern Ukraine is heavily Russian. The people there voted, including Crimea, to be part of Russia. When the Russians took back Crimea, the people celebrated. They're not against the Russians because they are Russian, right? They are for the Russians. In fact, they were fighting a civil war against the Kiev government for 7 years. Now, Western Ukraine's a different story. I mean, they're different people. You may like it or dislike it, but that's how it is. So it's just not the simple black and white morality tale that she's trying to make it. But even if you make it into a morality tale, in real life, it's not good guys versus bad guys, and the good guys always win. It comes down to power and what are you planning to do? And so when she's trying to do this moralistic tale, and I would ask Starmer of Britain and Macron of France, it's like, well, what do you want exactly? What do you want? I know you said you want French troops in there and British troops, and you want us to guarantee that if your troops are attacked, which they would be because they're putting themselves in the war, that will come, daddy will come rescue you, and we will get in a hot war with Russia, which would mean World War III. So the question is, as Americans, we got to ask ourselves, do we really want to have World War III, which would not be an easy war? We may lose, because we always think, oh, we're always winning no matter what. Not necessarily. Russia's pretty sophisticated, and they're allies with China, and it's on their back door there. The logistics are a lot easier for Russia. They don't have to send it across the ocean. They are an atomic power. Do you really run a risk, all of your family and everyone dying for the fucking Donbass? I don't. I don't really give a shit about that. Most people don't in America. And again, Brits, if you guys want to be slaughtered for the Donbass, go for it. I mean, relive your Charge of the Light Brigade like the last time you fought Russia. I don't want any part of it. And that's what it would mean. So if we don't, so the whole British and French solution is trying to trick us in a war. I mean, I think they think we're dumb shits. We don't understand it. Of course, we understand that's what they're trying to do. They're like, oh, no, we're just peacekeepers, but we need a security guarantee. Meaning, if they're so-called peacekeepers, which are troops in the battle there, get attacked, which they would because they'd be part of the enemy, according to Russia, we would have to save them. So now we're not going to fall for that bullshit, France and Britain. We're not that stupid. If you guys want to all die for this bullshit, whatever. Send your minorities over there and have fun with that. But we're not going to be part of it. So then the other idea is, well, I guess we could endlessly give Ukraine weapons and money, but we're running out of weapons. And for what our weapon supply is being depleted, and we have other priorities, like we're trying to get in a stupid war with Iran. We're fighting Yemen right now. There's always China. Then we have our best little ally that's always perpetually fighting, that we're perpetually sending them weapons. So there's only so many weapons to go around. And we've deindustrialized over the past 50 years too. Not as bad as Britain, but it's not like we have a lot of these factories anymore. They're mostly overseas. So there's a limited amount of production. And a lot of these weapon systems are HIMARS and so forth. They're very complicated. They're just not like simple artillery shells. They have microprocessors on them, GPS systems, and they're pretty sophisticated. It costs millions of dollars. And you just don't make them in a day. Sometimes it takes 6 months to make a missile. So we just can't magically give them an unlimited amount of weapons. But let's say if we could magically give them a limited amount of weapons, it still wouldn't matter because they're running out of men in Ukraine. Russia has a lot more men. They're all dying. And the people that are replacing the men in the Ukrainian lines are younger guys. There's people that don't want to fight. They're inexperienced or poorly trained. They're breaking quicker now. We're seeing that in battle, where the Ukrainians are not putting up as much resistance as they used to. They're surrendering quicker. And that's to be expected. So the quality of their troops is degraded. They can't win it. It's just that simple. Unless the only way they could potentially win is if we got into a full war that could eliminate all your family, everything you love. Fuck that. So what's your answer, bitch, here? I mean, you got to deal with the reality.
Quickly, if you can, please.
Martha, we have to ask ourselves, is it in our national interest? Is it realistic? We've talked to the Europeans about this and
this is what he said is really 2 points is really that you don't get from the left. Is it in our national interest? Like, why is it in our national interest to get bogged down, piss away our money on the Donbass? Is this really an interest to the most Americans? Not really. I'm more interested in illegals coming here. I'm more interested in anti-white policies called DEI. I'm more interested in inflation. I'm more interested in crime in the streets. That's what that affects me that affects Americans every day. The Donbass, we don't really care about. So it's not in our national interest. And no, Putin, he's just like Hitler. Once he gets to Donbass, he's going to take over the world. No, he's not. Stop it. That's just stupid. And then you got to deal with realism. That's why I just talked about what's the realistic situation. And you may not like it, and it may go against their fucking narrative they've been putting up 3 years. And that's all the left does. They put out fucking narratives that are lies. Just bullshit lies. They did it with COVID. They did it with BLM and George Floyd. and all of those people, all of the situations, they just produce a narrative that has no relation to a truth. And so they've been lying for 3 years, saying Ukraine's winning. Russia, they don't have any weapons. A trillion soldiers have been killed. Putin has cancers. The people are ready for revolution. It was all lies. And now it's like, shit, Russia's winning. That's just the God's truth. They're winning by a lot. They just encircled a bunch of Ukrainians in the Kursk region because the Ukrainians, they were doing a stupid PR thing. They want to withdraw their troops in time. They're cut off now. Trump asked Putin to spare their lives. It's just a mess. They're losing. So Russia has the cards. That's just a realistic scenario about it. You could throw tantrums, and you could say Nazi and fascist and racist, homophobic. You can say whatever you want. That doesn't change reality.
Ukrainians, are we going to drive every Russian off of every inch of Ukrainian soil, including Crimea? And what the strategy of the Biden administration was as long as it takes, as much as it takes, no matter what the timeline is, which is essentially endless warfare in an environment that we're literally losing.
So this is, and I know this is a hard message for people to realize, but Trump has access to the satellite data. He has his national security advising him. We know this. And you may not like this. You guys have been lied to for 3 years. Ukraine was never winning. There was never these glorious victories. It was all bullshit propaganda. Russia is grinding away Ukraine. As he said, Ukraine, meaning we're not, because it's like a proxy war, I guess we are, but we're losing. That's just the fact of it. It's like you're playing chess. I use this analogy. And you've lost more material than your opponent does. You're losing. That's just reality of the situation. Maybe the best you can hope for is a stalemate or a draw, right? That's all you get, the best. And so quit all these fantasies. Remember the fantasies? Oh, we'll give them the Abrams tanks. Oh, that's going to cause the Russians to flee. The Abrams tanks were destroyed. We gave them like 31. I think 21 have already been destroyed. And one, the Ukrainians just fled in terror in Kursk, and the Russians got a whole Abrams tank, not even damaged. They took back to Russia. Total disaster. F-16s are old and crap compared to the Russian anti-air defense. It's been no factor. Remember, all these supposed wonder weapons have been bullshit, and they haven't worked. The Russians have been able to counter them. That's reality. You may not like it, but that's reality. We're losing. We're losing the war. The war's being lost. There's no winning it unless you want to go to World War III. That's the way it is.
Hundreds of thousands of people in a matter of months, and could escalate into World War III. So we can talk about what's right and wrong, and we also have to talk about the reality of the situation on the ground. And that's what we are doing through diplomacy, through shuttle diplomacy, through proximity talks. And it astounds me how that is criticized.
Yeah, she didn't like him responding because he gave a good response. But that's true. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And it's not, the left always puts everything into a big morality tale. We stand with Kyiv, and they have their little lapel pin and whatever. I mean, it's kind of cringy, but that doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. What means shit are tanks, artillery, missiles, drones. That's what means shit. Your little morality tales doesn't mean anything in the world. But these people, they live in a magic world. They think if they repeat the same thing over and over, and they wear the little lapel pins, and maybe they do a die-in, oh, I'm going to pretend I'm dead. Oh, that will show Putin. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And Europe, what the hell they're talking about? They don't have an army. They're weak. Like, come on, Britain. Britain couldn't take on the Arkansas National Guard. I'm not joking. So what are they talking about? They're just talking shit. They need to shut their mouths because they don't have an army. So they're weak bitches. They need to shut their fucking mouths. No one wants to hear from a weak bitch, and they're weak bitches. And they made themselves that way because of their policies. Well, shut up. You're a bitch now. You have no say. We don't want to hear you lecturing us about your morality tales. And these girl bosses in Europe, like, who the hell are you? You should be delivering coffee. You're like, oh, I'm a tough girl boss, just like a Star Wars movie. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, the Russians will just bitch slap you down. down. That's just reality. But these people are living in a fantasy world. So hopefully Trump can get rid of the whole thing there. So yeah, it is pretty bad there. Okay, let me just see here. Get into some more foreign. Let me do some domestic stuff here. There's just so much stuff to go over. A lot of stuff. It's a beautiful day in the Ozarks too. I take a walk every morning now, a couple miles in the hills up the mountain and down the mountain. I go down the mountain and I go up the mountain. But it's kind of fun. So every day I try to take a photo. I wrote that in my Substack today. If you want to read that, it's good to get out of the house sometimes, you know. Just in, egg prices in the U.S. have fallen for the third consecutive week. Remember all those old hags in Congress? They were thinking about waiving empty egg cartons. They didn't do it because everyone's like, "Yeah, that sounds like stuff on Molyneux, a meme they would have made." All your eggs are gone. But they were trying to blame Trump on egg prices because egg prices really soared. Actually, it soared before Trump was president. And it really wasn't because of inflation. I mean, part of it, a little bit, was inflation. We've been having inflation. Well, when we say inflation, it's like general inflation. It means pretty much all the prices are going up. But if just one commodity, the price is going up crazy compared to everything else, then there's something else going on there, right? And it's usually a supply issue. And that's what it was with the eggs under the Biden administration, because they were all fools. There's a bird flu. It's just like COVID again. It's like, well, what do? We got to kill the chickens, kill them all. So they went in and slaughtered millions of chickens. It didn't do a damn thing about the bird flu, of course, but they killed millions of chickens. And then what happens when you kill millions of chickens to the egg production? See, the left never thinks about that. No, they never could think one step ahead. It's like, well, what the hell? Why aren't we getting any more eggs? Where did the eggs go? I don't know where the eggs went. That's what they were trying to say. It's like, oh, maybe we don't have as many eggs because you killed all the chickens. Maybe that's the reason. They never figured that out, right? But that was why we had an egg shortage, because they massacred. They went on a chicken genocide. I mean, they're pretending it's like a bunch of white people. They were just like, yeah, let's kill them all. And they killed all the chickens and there was no eggs. And they're like, where's our eggs? They're so expensive. Well, the good thing about chickens, though, they breed quickly. And now the chicken population, they're clucking. They do something that sounds like cluck, rhymes with cluck. They do that a lot and then makes a lot more chickens. And now we have a lot of eggs. So the eggs are coming back. And so the egg prices are falling back to normal. But that didn't really have anything to do with inflation. It doesn't have to do anything with like monetary policy or anything, or the Federal Reserve. It's just they quit killing the chickens, and the chickens now are having little chicks, and they've grown up and they're laying eggs. So that's kind of how it works. It's a circle of life, but the left never understands that. So egg prices are starting to drop dramatically. In a way, it's because of Trump, because they decided, well, we're not going to do the Biden policy of like slaughtering chickens. Maybe that's not a good idea, huh? Maybe that's not a good idea. This is really interesting what that came out about Trump talking about Joe Biden. I think he has a point here. I really do. We'll go through this here. But this is Donald J. Trump, the quote pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave. I love how Trump always gives a nickname to everyone, you know, like Little Rubio, and it was a Crooked Hillary and Sleepy Joe Biden. Gave to the unselect committee of political thugs, and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and no further force or effect because of the fact they were done by auto-pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them. More importantly, he didn't know anything about them. And I'm not going to read this all. And he talks about how he's crooked. But this is kind of interesting. So what AutoPin is, if you guys don't know, I know Sasha, she collects like autographs. And there's a difference between a real autograph versus like AutoPin. And let me explain the difference. It'd be like say, "Oh, I want an autograph from Madonna," that old aging whore. I want her autograph. And so you send in a note, and she goes, "Okay, I'm going to sell my autograph for $500." Something she'd probably do. So you send in your $500 and you get an autograph. Well, there's two different ways celebrities can give you autographs. There's a real autograph. They see your request and they have to take out a pen and they sign it. That's like a real autograph. But usually, they're too important to do that. No, they can't be bothered. So what they do is they make one signature and then they digitize that. It's called an auto pen. And then they like ship it out to some slave in India. And so when you send your letter in with $500, Madonna, can I get your signature? Her staff just sends it to India. Some Indian then just uses auto pen to kind of like stamp it, her signature on it. Madonna doesn't know anything about it. She's drinking margaritas, trying to have guys have sex with her or whatever she does. And meanwhile, in India, they're just stamping her signature that they send to you. It's bullshit. That's what's called auto pen. And it looks like that's what happened with Joe Biden because he was so out of it. A lot of the things that he signed, he didn't really sign. That's what they're saying. He didn't really sign. He didn't even know about it. So there could have been pardons that he's there, licking ice cream, yelling at the cat, looking out the window, not knowing where he is. And meanwhile, they're just rubber stamping his signature to these pardons. And Trump is basically saying, Biden didn't sign these because you have to sign it. You can't have someone else fake a signature. That'd be like signing for someone else just because you have their signature. Be like, I have your signature and you don't even know it, but I signed something for you because I have your signature in a digitized form, kind of like a stamp, and I just stamp it. And so he said these partners aren't even valid. And he could be right. He could be right. And this is going to create a big issue because he could go after Fauci now and the crooked Hunter Biden and a lot of these people that deserve to be in prison. He can go after that crime family, and they're no longer pardoned. And the Democrats could take it to court, but do they really want to go through discovery? Because part of the discovery process is, well, wait a minute, did you guys use auto pen? Was Joe really even aware about it? Joe, can we get him to testify? Joe can't testify. He doesn't even know where the fuck he is. He's a senile. And so, and then it'll be just a joke. They don't want to go there. So it's brilliant, really, what Trump is doing. So yeah, it's probably a lot of nonsense there. And here's Trump talking about the whole revoking the pardons that probably Biden, and you notice Biden has come out and said, this is ridiculous. Of course I knew it. I signed all those pardons with my pen. I did it. Biden's not saying that because no one knows where Biden is. He's in some nursing home or something. But here we go. Look at Trump here.
So to follow up on the Biden auto pen, are those executive orders or those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, it's just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating about them. Like Nancy Pelosi, who was determined conclusively that she knew about 10,000 soldiers and turned it down. And if we used 500 soldiers, you would have had no problem, let alone 10,000. The young lady that said that I grabbed these powerful young Secret Service agents by the neck. Okay, you know that was a big hoax. It was a lie, and she admitted it. And they deleted everything. So you know what they did is criminal. I think we're about to land, everybody.
Yeah, so as Trump says, it goes to the courts, but I don't even think the Democrats want to go to the court because, again, in the discovery process, they could ask, well, Joe, did you, and again, Joe won't testify because he's a vegetable. And so there's questions: is these valid signatures? I don't know. I mean, he was so out of it, he couldn't even sign his own pardons. That's how out of it Biden was, how incompetent he was. And there is, but I guess they could say, well, he knew, he was just, too out of it to sign. Right. He can't even sign his fucking name, and he's president of the United States. You know how embarrassing this is? But they could say, well, yeah, he knew, he just can't, he didn't know how to do his signature anymore. The president of the United States doesn't know how to sign his name. But I don't even know if he knew. He probably didn't. At the end, he didn't know where he was or what he was doing. And so his staff was using it. And that's just a legal question. Can they use his signature? Usually you can't use someone's signature without their approval, right? And so it's going to be an interesting thing there. All right. Let's see here I think this is interesting news. It should be good for Rumble. We're on Rumble right now. Hello, Rumble people. Thank you. I got a rant on Rumble, and I appreciate that. I think Dan Bongino, I think he started Rumble, but he started Rumble because he got banned or striked on YouTube because of the COVID hoax. But he's just been officially sworn in as Deputy Director of the FBI. Good news. And, I don't necessarily agree with everything he does, but that is funny that he is now he's a Deputy Director of the FBI. Rawhouse, for St. Patty's Day, Rams, how about this video? All right. Thank you, Rawhouse. Another ramp. This might be the one I already showed, but let me take a look here. I'll put this up here.
There's no hotels there. They're all taken over.
Yeah.
Americans stay here.
Yeah.
Americans stay here.
Getting some time with President Trump, and also I know there's some Irish immigrants in the U.S. without status. What do you think should happen to them?
The Irish immigrants.
Some recent Irish immigrants without status.
Are we taking questions?
Taking over the podium.
Ireland and America, we are siblings. We consider America our big sibling. So it's important for Ireland to have be a peaceful, happy, prosperous country for the 40 million Irish Americans to have a place to visit, to come back to their home. So we wish for our relationship with the United States to continue, and we wish to be taken care of by the big bro. The United States should look after its little bro, and that's how we feel.
How about the trade? What about there's some trade disputes between the U.S. and the EU, and how do you think?
We wish exemption.
We actually have some stuff that we
I will
have to
say,
do right now.
Connor is here to meet with the president. He'll be meeting with him later this afternoon. We couldn't think of a better guest to have with us on St. Patrick's Day. We're both wearing our green. This was not planned, but very festive. And as you know, I'll be having a briefing later at 1:00. So we'll talk more about their meeting later. But he's going over to meet with some other administration officials. He's spending the day in Washington, D.C.
For sure.
So
I'm here to raise the issues the people of Ireland face. And it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke. Our government has long since abandoned the voices of the people of Ireland, and it's high time that America is made aware of what is going on in Ireland. What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. Our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop.
Yeah, we saw this, and thank you, Rowhouse, for that. It's really sad. It's a war against all our people. It's just not a war in America, but we got to look at it as a war. I kind of agree with Trump. We're in a war, and these people are trying to destroy you and your families and your homeland. And one of the interesting things is, the left has been, a lot of the official rackets have been trying to do a meme. Like, it sort of reminds me of what Tim Walz and Kamala, they were trying to, because they didn't really understand what normal white men are like. So they hired this homosexual actors from Hollywood to try to pretend to be normal people. I'm just a good old boy from the South. They did that routine. And they kind of are doing the same thing. Like, oh, all these Republicans are now saying, hey, that's not what I voted for. Oh, Trump is so unpopular. You know, they've really been pushing that, the media. But much to their chagrin, the data is not showing that. Trump now has his highest approval he's ever had. As more Americans say, U.S. is on the right track than any time in 20 years. So he's like, yeah, I mean, again, he's just breaking records, highest approval rate, more Americans in the last 20 years saying, hey, America finally is on the right track. And I think it's because of his sealing the border and trying to stand up for normal Americans, getting rid of the DEI, getting rid of this craziness like men that pretend to be women in women's sports. So it's just common sense stuff, and it's appealing to people. And has Trump done everything perfect? No, there's a lot of things I don't like. I don't like his focus on Iran. I don't like his focus on Israel. There's some things obviously I don't care for. And I wish more people were deported, but I think it's a little more difficult than we understand. But I am happy with what he's done so far. It's not necessarily perfect, but it is pretty good. And let's see here. Get some of the more of the domestic stuff here. I saw this girl. I think she's genuine. I'm not really sure. We'll just kind of go over this. I play this on Night Owls.
So a Democrat from Boston had made a video about me saying that I confirmed his belief that Southern people are less educated. Well, sir, that depends on what you're referring to. Are you talking about a college education?
What does it say? MAGA hillbilly. I don't know what that says exactly. Is that said weird MAGA hillbilly? Because it looks inverted or something. But she's kind of putting on a pose. I don't really know what to take of this because Southern people really don't dress like this or act like this that I've seen. This is more a caricature, but it's done in a positive way, so I can't really mind too much.
Because I got one of those. But no, what you're probably talking about is politics and stocks, which case you'd probably be correct. Because I don't spend a whole lot of time retaining knowledge and things that'll have the value of a goose egg when this world goes to hell in a handbasket. But if the markets crash and you're forced to survive on little to nothing, live off the lands and protect and fend for your own, I think you'll come to find that us Southern folks are a lot more educated than you think. And you'll probably want to learn a thing or two from us.
Yeah, it's a cute video. I guess I like it, but it's kind of nice. As I was telling Sasha, the girls now are like into two different camps of social media. They're either playing this route, and I'm not saying this girl, I mean, she could be fine, but they're playing the I'm a trad wife, that type of thing. And they're kind of LARPing as a either a Southerner or rural life. And a lot of it, I say, is a LARP. Like I see these women, they're in the white dress and they're running barefoot through a field. And I'm in the South, I'm in a rural area, and I can't even work in the lawn here with tennis shoes. If I do, it's a mistake. I'm going to have chigger bites. I'm going to have ticks on me in the summer. It's just how it is. You got to wear boots. And so if some girl is running around half naked in the Ozarks here, it's not going to end up well for her. You don't want to do that. That's sort of like a weird fetish people got into, I guess, like the half naked girl and pouring milk in the field. Well, I don't know about that. Most of the women in here in rural Arkansas, they don't dress like that. And so you either get that type or you got this is like constant horrors now. Like I actually have these ads and all these e-thoughts from OnlyFans. I'm really getting tired of looking at them. I'm like, put your clothes on, damn it. I don't want to see half naked women every second of the day. I mean, I used to enjoy that sort of thing. Now it's just like, gross, put some fucking pants on. But so you get either two extremes, but in reality, it's a little bit different. So there's a little bit, is she really that way? Her accent was pretty thick. And some people do talk like that. I'm not, that's not all fake. When you get in rural Arkansas, you still hear a thick accent at times, but I wouldn't see them putting on a cap that says hillbilly, and they do wear overalls sometimes, but it's not like Southern girls aren't connected to the internet here, so they understand things. So it's a little of a caricature I think they're putting on. So, but it is nice to see people getting, again, more of a Southern pride. I do that, and I'm not even from the South, but I'm really proud of the South, even though I'm not. My family was from Southern Indiana originally, which is in kind of right across the border from Kentucky and the Appalachia region. So they were kind of in the hillbilly vibe, I guess you could call them. They grew up real poor too. But I like the South, and it's good to see the South, the white Southerners having some pride in their heritage again. And it's cool. I like seeing the Confederate battle flag flying every once in a while. I fly it, have it on my wall right there. And you see it out here a lot. And so that's good. I like that. I like that feel to it. Is there a little bit of cultural appropriation or LARPing about it? Yeah, a little bit, I guess. So, but anyway, I like what she said. That was good. Okay, I got a super chat. Thank you. It's great to see you guys today, by the way. Hope you have a great St. Patrick's Day. And isn't this a day a lot of people drink and everything? I'm not a big drinker anymore. I do drink, but I won't drink today. I'm like just a social drinker. Unless it's a party or something, I don't drink. $20 Killicami. What's the difference between St. Patty's Day and MLK Day? Everyone wants to be Irish. I know they do. That's a good old joke, but a good one. Thank you, Killicami. Thank you so much for that. Widow Kid, what do you think of Joe McCarthy? It looks like Trump likes him. Yeah, I think he's well, the original McCarthy, is that who you're referring to, McCarthyism? He was right about pretty much everything about the communist infiltration. There was a lot of negatives about him, but it turns out he was right? A lot of us forget about that, how they infiltrated. And the communism, it kind of went away, but it morphed into wokeism. So they no longer talk about working class issues or domestic things. They're all about race and weird gender politics. So, yeah. All right. We got other good news. I guess good news. These people were supposed to be up in space just for 2 weeks, but NASA couldn't bring them back home because, you know how NASA is now. They're not about space anymore. They're about diversity. And Elon Musk offered to bring them home. They hated Elon Musk, but Joe Biden refused because they thought it'd be bad optics that Elon Musk, who was supporting Trump. So they left this one guy. I think his name's Butch. Then you have this lady. I think she's Indian, like from India. Allegedly, she's an American. I call her. She looks like a witch. I call her the space witch. So they've been stuck up there like for 9 months, and finally now that Trump's and Elon Musk has got them down. Because again, NASA can't really do space travel anymore. NASA just does gender politics. They probably have pride parades and transgender awareness day and everything else, but they can't send people into space anymore.
Question is from Aaron Gregg with the Washington Post.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for doing this. So my question relates to Elon Musk has said that he made the offer to bring you guys back earlier and that it was denied. My first question is that true? And if so, what would that have looked like? Was he offering to make another flight, push seats on another flight? Could you give us some background there?
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that though whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that processes went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that you would be hoping for.
So he's being diplomatic, but yeah, it was factual. He said Elon Musk did have an offer to bring him down, but Biden refused because it'd be bad optics, and it made NASA look incompetent, which NASA has become incompetent, because the more NASA has embraced diversity, the more incompetent they have become. And that is what we're seeing now. And NASA, we either need to eliminate we got SpaceX. Maybe we don't need a NASA anymore. But if NASA is to continue, which I do like the idea of NASA, I like the idea of space exploration, but we got to make it back to merit-based. And if that means it's all white men or Asian men, white Asian men, and not enough blacks, well, so be it. But see, NASA's like, no, we got to have representation. And we got to have a black female astronaut that's trans. And as long as that happens, NASA is going to be irrelevant. And here's this was a little abai then. Space is black, so the people best qualified to get there are black people. What? Let's watch this together. It was produced by NASA.
Space is black, except for where the stars are. It's the absence of light and the inability to know where you're going.
What's he saying? And that reflects black people.
The people that I consider to be the best qualified to get there are people who look like me.
So this guy is saying that the best qualified people to go to space, these are people whose ancestors never even invented a wheel or a written language, but they're the most qualified to go to space because except for stars, it's really black out there, and they're black. So, hey, this looks like a parody by The Onion or the Babylon Bee, but this is the reality.
Ron McNair, the Fred Gregory's, the Charlie Bolden.
It is hugely important to see people who look like you. If they can do it, then there's a chance for me to do it.
It's funny how this is, they have a real racial conscience that it's very important that people look like you for you to identify with them. But it's evil for us white people to have that same standard. Like for me to say, hey, I'm going to root for this team because it has more people that look like me. They're white. Oh, you racist, fascist, Nazi. But they can say that all the time. So anyway, this looks like some black girl boss pretending to be an astronaut here.
To be black is to be human. So as we go out into space, we need to be part of that journey.
It's like a real funky 70s black exploitation film or something. I just picture Big Fro or something. Remember that show Beretta? Who did he have? He had that one junkie guy, that was the pimp. That was pretty funny. Yeah, NASA needs to be based on this. NASA needs to be totally. You can see why NASA was unable to rescue those astronauts, because they get people because they're black, not because they're qualified. Obviously, as we see that. Boy, that's an embarrassment. Hopefully, Trump and them can clear out NASA and get people there that are qualified instead of this ridiculous thing. Yeah. All right. All right, and now I'm going to go over some hoax here. Let's just, and I love the like the 70s like soul music they had, funky vibe. It was just something like I said, like out of Beretta, and Rooster, that was it. Let me just. Remember, there was this like they just needed to get Rooster on as a. Let me just show you Rooster. If you guys ever watched Beretta, Let me see, open image. Yeah, it's like this. I'll just show you this. This is what I was thinking of. It just had that sort of vibe here. Here we go. Rooster. Yeah, shit, man. That's kind of well, Africa's all black, so we'll see some great progress, I'm sure, from African countries. They'll show us how it's done. So yeah, there we go. All right. Goodness here. This is a post by Z-Man, and I agree. Shifting gears a little bit, but here's a big hoax that the Biden administration, remember, they were the whole COVID nonsense, that they were pushing social media to censor people like myself, that turned out to be, I have to say, right. I was one of the few. I was one of the early ones that called a lot of bullshit on this, and I was right. And now they're all saying it. They're like, yeah, it was all bullshit. And even the New York Times is admitting now, like, oh, we were fooled. It looks like the virus was created in a lab, like I said way years ago. A bit before, if you said that, oh, you're anti-Chinese, censor you. And now, as I liked how Zima said, I love how they phrase it as we were fooled, as if they were victims rather than co-conspirators. These are the same assholes that want to censor anyone that put out any of the truth about COVID or the origins or anything like that. Even scientific facts. No, we can't have that because we believe in science in this household. And science means absolute faith in Fauci. He's our God and Savior. That's what science means. Yeah, jeez. So, now New York Times are saying, oh, we were fooled. We were victims of the whole thing. Yeah, fuck off. You were the ones trying to censor everyone. But that is what they're doing here. All right. We had some other good news. We had some corrupt judge trying to stop a deportation of criminal aliens, Venezuelan gang members, illegals. They don't belong here. And some federal judge is blocked it. Oh, I got another a power chat. This is from Damien. Thank you. That Southern woman is trying to be a second-rate Hannah Barron. Hannah Barron. I don't know who that is. Let me look that up here. Who's Hannah Barron? Is that a TikTok girl or something? I don't know who she is. Or it looks like some e-thought that's showing her tits in the South. Maybe that's it too. Yeah, well, there's, I liked what she said, so I'm not going to counter signal that. And if she has to dress up in a costume and put the accent on thick and wear a hillbilly hat, hey, I don't mind. I do, when I sometimes have the Confederate battle flag when I do my videos to my Substack, and I'm not really from the South, but whatever. I'm okay with that. But yeah, maybe she is putting on an act. And let's see here. $10. Courtney from Alabama. Now, Courtney is not a fake Southern girl. She's a real Southern girl. I've met her. She's got a delightful accent, and it's not fake. So here we go. Can't wait to share my article that when I'm done. Southern white women as a group voted for Trump at 70%, which was higher percentage than for white men outside the South. Yes. And this is why I don't like to get into the whole, I guess we call it the gender war or sex war between men and women. Women, they tend to, and there's nothing wrong with this, is they're social creatures. I think there's an evolutionary reason for that, because if they got kicked out of the tribe, it was disaster. They had to be protected. So women tend to enforce whatever their power figure is. And I think naturally, this gets a lot of people mad, but I will say that there's a hierarchy. There's God, man, woman, child. And when you invert the hierarchy, you get problems. Like if the children run a household, the kids are going to be miserable. And you see it because that's violating the natural hierarchy. If you have women in charge of men, it violates the natural hierarchy. You have a lot of issues. And you have a lot of issues in politics. That's why we see the disaster of all these girl bosses. But if it's in the proper hierarchy, things are more smooth. And women, they by nature want to be led by the hierarchy. And if they're led by their husbands, they will tend to follow their husbands. So I'm not surprised on this, Courtney, because in the South, most white men voted for Trump. So most married white women, is that what you said? Southern white women as a group, and voted for would vote for Trump too. Now, where this breaks a lot, I don't know if you have the data, Courtney, but even in the South, I would have bet single white women, they did not vote for Trump as much as married white women. I bet married white women voted for Trump at a higher percentage than single white women from the South. I would like to see that. Mostly single women, what they do then, because they don't have a husband, their husband is the establishment or the media, the government, Oprah, or whatever the mainstream is. And they align their views with that. That's what they do. That's what women do. And so that's why I don't get really too upset about one way or the other. That's how women are. They always will be that way. And it's like getting mad that the sun comes up in the east. What are you going to do about it? Women are going to follow who they consider above them in the hierarchy. And if it's a healthy relationship, it's their husband, they'll follow him. If they're single or if they're disrespecting their husbands, they will still follow someone, and it will tend to be like the government or the media or so forth. But you're right. Southern white women, especially the married Southern white women, overwhelmingly, she says 70%. Yep. I bet that number, if that's all women in the South, white women, I bet married white women are probably 90% voted for Trump because it skewed down a little bit. Now, I have to say, in the South is not homogeneous, even among white people. And you get liberal areas like Fayetteville's a very liberal area. It's a college town. And you get these hens, especially they're unmarried. And, they're not going to have a Confederate battle flag. They're going to have the homosexual flag they fly. And so it's not that much different than if you take a college town like Fayetteville, Arkansas, you're going to have shit libs just like you would have in Boulder, Colorado, or Berkeley. And I think it's probably the same in Alabama in a college town. So I think that's kind of the real difference. But Courtney, I'm looking forward to that. And when you write your article, I will be sure to share it on here so people can read it. I'm sure that's going to be a good article. And thank you. So I was just talking about Southern women, and we had a Southern lady just send in a rant. So thank you. All right, let's go back to this judge here. This was a good story. See, I'm getting a lot of rants and super chats today, so I'm going longer. So thank you. There we go.
You can not have a low-level district court judge filing an injunction to usurp the executive authority of the president of the United States. That is completely absurd. And as the executive of the executive branch, the president has the ability to fire or hire. And you have these lower-level judges who are trying to block this president's agenda. It's very clear. And as I just cited, I was appalled by the statistic when I saw it this morning. In 1 month, in February, there have been 15 injunctions of this administration in our agenda. In 3 years under the Biden administration, there were 14 injunctions. So it's very clear that there are judicial activists throughout our judicial branch who are trying to block this president's executive authority. We are going to fight back. And as anyone who saw President Trump and his legal team fighting back, they know how to do it. He was indicted nearly 200 times, and he's in the Oval Office now because all of the indictments, all of these injunctions have always been unconstitutional and unfair. They are led by partisan activists who are trying to usurp the will of this president, and we're not going to stand for it.
Excellent. Excellent. And this is what has to happen. And again, you can't have these low-level judges act like they're king and they can override the will of the people. Fuck you. We're not going to follow it. Fuck your decisions. And that needs to be the response to this. We're not going to allow that. And these people, they think that the left always thinks they can use their shit lib judges to block the will of the people, like they did in California. In California in the 80s, Californians didn't want their state overrun. It was a beautiful state. And they had Proposition 187, so they wouldn't have to pay for illegals. Some shitlid judge struck it down against the will of the people, destroyed the state. We're playing for keeps. I don't give a damn if you're our job. Go fuck yourself. We're not going to follow your little tyranny. And I really, really hope that Trump would just ignore these judges. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? Yeah, you did your opinion. We don't give a shit. And that's what they did. Trump, this judge said, oh, you got to bring these criminal, illegal Venezuelan gangbangers back into the country. You got to fly them back. And Stephen Miller, who's one of my favorite guys in the administration, I think J.D. Vance is my number one favorite man in the administration, but a close second would be Stephen Miller. I think this guy's really good. He secretly orchestrated the Venezuelan gang members' flights to El Salvador to get the criminals out of the country before an activist judge could take action. Brilliant. According to Axios, the Trump administration ignored the court order demanding that 2 planes filled with Venezuelan gang members turn around. So the shitlid judge that lives in a nice gated white community was saying places like Aurora, Colorado have to put up with criminal gang members. What an asshole. The administration said the flights were already over international waters, therefore the ruling didn't matter. And so the Trump administration is going to ignore these orders. They should. They're not constitutional. A low-level judge is not king. They cannot override the will of the people. They're not there to start writing new laws. If the judge wants to impose his policy, he can run for president, right? Or he can try to get elected to Congress and to pass laws. He doesn't have a right to legislate from the bench. Only thing the judges have the right to do is to say if a law is constitutional or not. This had nothing to do with constitutional. He just didn't like Trump or the policy. So fuck him. He needs to be removed as judge, and I think he needs to be arrested. That's how we have to deal with these. We're fighting for our nation. This isn't theoretical anymore. We can't tolerate these criminals that wear black robes that are trying to harm Americans, and we're supposed to have respect for these assholes. Fuck them. We need to do what's good for America. And that is something that will happen, I think. And I think Trump is going to have to take a good stand against these judges. And let me show you. I thought Cernovich had a good take here. Just as J6 was a non-issue politically, Trump won the popular vote. Neither will defying the unlawful court orders cost him 1 vote. It won't. He may gain them support as long as the issues he fights on the court are democratically supported. Right. Americans don't want criminal gang members in our country illegally, and they're not going to tolerate some piece of shit judge saying, no, we got to throw these criminal gang members in your neighborhood. We're not going to tolerate that. It's not going to hurt Trump domestically. It will make people more like Trump. And if the judge keeps spouting his mouth, we can have the U.S. Marshals arrest that asshole. And we'll put him in a cell with Venezuelan gang members. See how he likes that. So that is what is happening here. Let's see here. All right. Couple of things. I showed this on Night Owls last night, but it's just so crazy, the woke shit that has gone on in our country. And we got to get away from this. And this is one of the reasons the Democrats are like, I wonder why, because it's like Democrats have like the lowest polling numbers. No one wants to admit to being a Democrat. It's like admitting to being a child molester. It's admitting to be a Democrat at this point. And here's why. Sometimes they're literally child molesters. The healthcare system, Inspira Health in New Jersey, asks mothers of newborn babies if their baby is transgender or gay and what sex they were assigned at birth. So if you're a mother and you give birth, your little baby is born, you get this form you have to fill out. And the first question is, what was your baby assigned at birth? A sex is not assigned. Any medical professional that says this needs to lose their license. They're idiots. You're created a sex. You're not assigned a sex, no more than you're assigned a species. What species was it? Is it a bird? Is it a cat? Is it a human? What species was assigned to birth to your baby? Right away, anyone pushed out the survey, they need to be, I would say, arrested, but they definitely need to lose their job. What do you identify your baby as? Female, male, transgender male, gender queer. So you have a newborn baby. He's gender queer. His dick needs to be cut off. Which of the following describes your baby? Lesbian or gay, straight or heterosexual, bisexual, questioning. Yeah, my kid, he likes gay sex. This is my gender queer baby that likes gay sex. What the hell? Who are these people? I mean, they all need to lose their jobs, and some of them need to be arrested. I mean, these are just dangerous people. When you're thinking this way about a newborn baby, what in the fuck is your problem? Asking if a newborn baby enjoys sodomy. What the hell are you thinking? And this is where we are right now. And I wonder why no one likes Democrats anymore. Well, God, I mean, it's bizarre how that is, but this is where we are. And then here's Britain. Boy, are they going down the shithole here. Britain's first transgender family reveals son is also transitioning. Wow. Well, imagine that. Imagine that. Gosh. And again, in a sane society, we will not allow this. Those people will be arrested, and the boy will be put in a home where parents love him. They're not trying to sexually mutilate him. And those people that do sexual mutilation of the children, if convicted, they should face the death penalty. And if any doctor does a gender affirming surgery, if convicted, they should face the death penalty. This is one of the most horrific things I could imagine. There's so many sad stories, like the kid that was on the National Geographic cover. Remember that famous gender, all these genders, science discovers. He was 9 years old, and they castrated him because his mother was an attention whore. And now he's no longer identifies as a girl, but he has no sexual desire. Obviously, he's been castrated. And he's sterile. His life has been ruined because of a psycho mother and a butcher of a doctor. Those people need to pay. They need to pay the price. It is horrific. And this is what the Democrats stand for. They don't really have any positive agenda. Their agenda is they hate white people, they hate Christians, they hate men, they hate Southerners. And they're for sexually castrating little boys, and they're for telling newborn mothers, okay, is your son homosexual? This is what they stand for. This is how sick they are. And it's really, 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 really gross. All right. Some more of the anti-white stuff we see in Europe. If anything, we should be fighting on the side of Russia to liberate these countries. Shakespeare's birthplace to be decolonized. What does that even mean? Decolonized. Over fears his success benefits the ideology of white supremacy, white European supremacy. So they're upset because Shakespeare was white, and we can't have that, so he must be evil, so people can't celebrate that. These are how evil these people are. It is crazy. It is crazy. I don't know if Z-Man is watching. He sometimes watches the show. But Z-Man, if you're watching, he does something called Zero Science, where he reads these stupid academic papers and universities put together. And here we have one. This is Taylor and Francis. This is a paper put together. And your universities. Oh, I go to university. I'm so smart, unlike you dumb hicks in the South. Okay, let's see what your thesis paper was. Queer canine becomings, lesbian, feminist, cyborg politics, and interspecies intimacies in ecologies of love and violence. A Journal of Lesbian Studies. And so this was published March 8th. So these are people, and they're in the social sciences, they have to publish for their PhD. And this is her paper. Her paper, this is the science. This is the brilliant science. You go, girl power. You see, girls are smart as boys. And here's what she put together. Her article is Queer Canine Becomings. So queer, I guess, means homosexual, right? Canine is dog. I don't know what they mean by becoming. She's not using that word properly. Is this women that become homosexual dogs? I guess that's pretty accurate. When you look at it, pretty accurate. Lesbian feminist cyborg. Cyborg. Is that like Battlestar Galactica, where you're secretly a robot? So lesbian feminist cyborg, that means robots, politics. I don't know, are robots politics? And interspecies intimacies. So I guess these are lesbians having sex with gay dogs in ecologies of love and violence. So they're having sex with a gay dog, and the dog may bite off their breast or something. Okay, this is what your esteemed Ivy League schools are discussing. You got to send your kids to college because they don't want to be ignorant. You don't want your kids to be ignorant because they won't learn. If your kids don't go to college, they won't learn about queer, canine becomings. And what about lesbian, feminist, cyborg politics and interspecies intimacy? Is that like dog fucking, I guess? In ecologies of love and violence. Yeah. All right. This is the thank you, sweetheart. We got to rethink the whole women at university bit. So anyway, that looks like a fascinating article. So Z-Man, that sounds like an article for you to go over. But that's what that was here. So I'm sure that's fascinating. I'm sure she thinks. I wonder how the author. I wonder if she voted for Trump or Kamala. I wonder. That is pretty strange here, but that is where we are. All right, let me just show you something that's very exciting that is happening in my home state. Go Arkansas! Go Arkansas! This is really cool. I showed this last night on Night Owls, but I want to show you guys because sometimes Night Owls is a different audience sometimes.
Couldn't believe it.
This is a truck driver going through Arkansas.
Going through Arkansas. I thought it was a joke. Got stopped at the way station in Arkansas and was handed a piece of paper. And it says, "Can you read and write English?" I said, "Yes, sir, I sure can." He goes, "Can you read this?" So I read it to myself and I was like, okay, I started handing it back. He goes, no, read it out loud for me. So I read it out loud for him, and it's short and sweet, no problem. He goes, "Now, can you write this for me on this paper?" And I did, and there was a whole bunch of people that have already written on it. And I was actually witnessing people in handcuffs that had been pulled in, and I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, we've come across now that if you cannot read or write in English, that it's a $5,000 fine. And if you have a company in Arkansas that employs people that can't read or write in English, it's a $10,000 fine."
That's not actually true. It's just for truckers. In Arkansas has a rule. If you're a trucker, you have to be able to read and write in English. And 100% yes, because English, by the way, is the official language of the United States of America.
Paid on the spot. If you cannot pay it, you're automatically arrested and lose your license. What a shocker.
Yes, thank God for Arkansas. And this is good. So they stop all trucks and you have to show that you understand English. And actually, this is for the United States. According to federal law, you must be able to speak and understand English. So it's actually they're enforcing the federal law too. So this is a problem. You got all these immigrants come in. They don't understand the language. They can't drive the truck, and they end up wiping out a lot of people. And it is pretty bad. So great to see that. Great to see that. So that is good news. And I have it here. Oh yeah, this is something that you can yeah, this is good. You got to tell all your friends that are aliens that they need to escape white supremacy, and there's a tool that will help them. Let's watch this.
Well, breaking right now, the Trump DHS is launching a new self-deportation app for illegal immigrants, giving those in the U.S. illegally an incentive to cooperate. And Bill Mallusian is live in L.A. with more. Hi, Bill.
Yeah, so the app that used to get these illegals in our country and get them on be parasites on welfare, we're saying, hey, we're going to repurpose that app and we're going to tell you how you can get the hell back to your own country, which makes sense. You'd be happier with your people because we're a bunch of racist, white supremacists, Nazis here. So you don't want to live around us, I would imagine. You want to go back to your own people and have fun and be in the sunshine and dance and just love life. And so this is allowing you to do that.
And Dana, good morning to you. So this is pretty remarkable. The Trump administration has taken that controversial CBP-1 cell phone app for migrants that the Biden administration was using, and they've repurposed it into a self-deportation app that is officially launching today. And we're getting an exclusive first look at it. Take a look. The app is now called CBP Home. It allows illegal aliens in the U.S. to register to self-deport.
Which is actually smart if you're an illegal alien. To self-deport, because then you can take the stuff you have. If you're deported, you just get what's on your back, right? So you can't go back home and pack up your shit. So this helps you to pack up your shit. And you can go back to Mexico or Venezuela. And so this is a good thing. You need to tell your friends that are illegals, give them this app to help them get the hell out.
They fill out biographical information, including their countries of citizenship, which country they plan to return to, their alien registration numbers, their contact information, and it allows them to upload photos of themselves to confirm their identity. All of it is then submitted to CBP, and they leave the country.
I love how they have a photo of like a white girl. There's not probably many of those.
Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why would an illegal immigrant want to self-deport? Well, DHS says if they leave now, they will have the opportunity to return to the U.S. legally in the future and chase the American dream. But if they don't leave, they will be found, arrested, detained, and deported with a permanent ban on entry into the United States. In a statement to Fox News, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said in part, quote, the Biden administration exploited the CBP-1 app to allow more than 1 million aliens to illegally enter the United States. With the launching of the CBP Home app, we are restoring integrity to our immigration system. If they don't self-deport, we will find them, deport them, and they will never return.
And that's the one thing I've always said. For every illegal alien we deport, there's probably 5 or 10. It'd be interesting to see the stats. I'm just guessing. But there's a lot more that self-deport. There's already stories of that. Because you know your amigo is being deported back to Mexico and he can't take his shit back and he's banned from ever getting into America because he's going to be on record. You're like, oh shit, I think I should go back to Mexico on my own now. I could take my stuff and I can come back later. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
The Biden administration's use of the CBP-1 app allowed more than 40,000 migrants to come into the U.S. at a port of entry every single month. That totaled nearly 1 million migrants by the end of his presidency. President Trump terminated that app immediately upon taking office, leading to scenes like this, showing migrants dismayed at the border on the day of his inauguration as they learned their CBP-1 appointments were canceled and were never coming back. And DHS tells me that any migrants who had that CBP-1 app on their phone will see it automatically update to this new self-deportation app.
I love it. I love it.
Starting today.
That is so based.
DHS can also use the data from the prior CBP-1 registrations to track migrants for removal. So in a nutshell, Dana, Trump just took Biden's program, which was bringing migrants in, and has now totally repurposed it to get them out.
And did you hear, because we have, their cell phone, they got the app on, so we know where they are. So theoretically, ICE can just track them down based on their phone, whereas pinging, we know their location, their GPS location, and we could just throw them in the paddy van and send them back to Venezuela, Mexico, or whatever. That is brilliant. Brilliant.
We'll send it back to you.
And I started hearing some radio ads that were mirroring some of the ads from the new secretary on cable. Now they're now on radio, and they're going to be in those countries as well and targeting them so that they know not to come or to go ahead and get themselves out of the country. Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. So I know there's a lot of, things that aren't perfect with Trump. Believe me, we could go over those, but that is excellent news. that they're getting them out of the country. And we're seeing the results at the border. I mean, whatever you want else to say about Trump, and again, I'm not a big fan of his fixation on Yemen and all that, and Iran and Israel, but the number of migrants illegally crossing the southern border plummets to the lowest in decades. So, decades. I mean, there's almost no one coming over. In fact, one news organization went down to the border. They wanted to do the story about the poor illegals trying to get in the country and the mean border patrols whipping them out of the country. You know, that's what they wanted. They couldn't find anyone. They couldn't find any illegals. They look, no one's coming in. So thank God for that. We stopped the flow. All it took is a new president. All it took is a new president. And we got these illegals from coming in. I think we should be very happy about that. And that was, well. Courtney from Alabama, another one. My stats were for white women as a whole in the South, both married and single together. It was higher percentage than for men outside the South. I put the data from the exit polls. Okay, so then if 70% of white women from the South voted for Trump, the married white women, I bet you, Courtney, were a lot higher. They were probably about 90%. Single white women were probably lower. I'd like to see that data too. But that is excellent view. That is excellent to know. I'm not that surprised. People that tend to live around diversity tend to understand really what it is. It's sort of funny that people that more understand race and ethnicities are the people that actually live around diversity. They understand what it's really like. Versus leftists, a lot of these leftist shit libs, they don't, the only thing they know about diversity is from Netflix, and they base their views on that. They're going to get a rude awakening once they see what it's really like. But thank you, Courtney, for that clarification. I do appreciate that. And let's see here. It's been a good day here. All right. Well, it's been an hour and a half. It's been a good day today. It's a lot of interaction, and it's one of our better shows. I really thank you guys for that. And again, tomorrow we'll have the Ramsey Paul Show again, the same time at 11 a.m. There's a lot of stuff to still cover. Tomorrow, Trump meets with Putin. That should be good. A lot of good stuff happening. And tomorrow night, we have our roundtable. I haven't decided the discussion. Wednesday night, Z-Man and I are going to talk about space. And so all the flat earthers can get mad. But we're going to talk about that, the space program, NASA, where we're going. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. So you want to check that out. That show's really good. And otherwise, it's beautiful springs coming here to the Ozarks. And I hope you guys have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Talk to you guys later.